Season finales in most anime are crescendo. A final boss, world-ending threat, massive revelation that makes you question everything that came before it. Frieren ends its second season with a spell that lets you flip pancakes perfectly. And honestly, that's exactly right. Because this show has never been about the crescendo, it's about the road. The rhythm of people who have been traveling together long enough that they don't need to prove anything to each other anymore. They just need to keep moving. But if you watch this finale closely, you'll notice something. While Frieren is busy negotiating for useless grimoires, the world around her is being quietly rebuilt by the ghost of a man who has been dead for 80 years. Today, we are talking about the architecture of legacy, what gets left behind, what takes 200 years to finish, and why the boring stuff is actually the foundation everything else is built on. The first half of the episode gives us Gehen, a dwarf who has spent 200 years building a single bridge across the Thor Canyon, one of the deepest canyons on the continent, 3,000 meters down, wind so strong you can't fly across it. 2 centuries, multiple human lifetimes for one bridge. And Stark asks the question we are all thinking. Why? The answer is regret. Gehen's village was destroyed by demons because the armies stationed across the canyon couldn't get there in time, or rather at all. No bridge meant no reinforcements meant no village. He's not building this for glory, he's building it so that a specific tragedy can never happen to anyone else again. And here's the twist the show slips in quietly. Gehen didn't start this alone. In a flashback, we see Himmel handing over his reward money, actual gold from defeating a demon noble, to fund the construction. Gehen pushes back. You won't live to see it finished. And Himmel just smiles and tells him that's fine. Frieren will collect the repayment instead. Think about that. Himmel made a promise on behalf of someone else across a timeline he knew he would never see. To a project he knew he would never witness completed. That's not optimism. That's architecture. He wasn't building the bridge. He was building the conditions for the bridge to exist. And 200 years later, there it is. There is a beat when the party crosses into the town on the other side and Gehen is greeted like a local hero by people who weren't even born when he started. He says it simply, 200 years is more than enough time for a village to be built anew. And Frieren smiles, which, if you've been watching this show, you know means something. After the bridge, the party heads further north. Broke because Frieren spent everything on more magical junk and picks up a job in the Schmel snowfields hunting a wolf creature that's been blocking a holy snow crystal deposit. The fight that follows is one of my favorite action sequences of the season, not because it's the biggest, it isn't, but because of what it shows about how this party actually works now. The wolf tracks mana, so Fern steps completely outside its detection range and hits it from a distance it can't perceive. Stark holds the line with Frieren's barrier magic covering him, while Fern sets up the shot. No dramatic speeches, no last-minute power-ups, just 3 people who know each other well enough to move like one unit. This is what months of travel together actually looks like, not a bond that gets announced, one that gets demonstrated. When a second wave shows up and the local patrol arrives to help, Frieren takes a quiet moment to note how much the Northern Plateau has changed. It's becoming the kind of place where people can live, not just survive. The era Himmel dreamed of is becoming real. Incrementally, in places like this, snowfields that used to be too dangerous for anyone to bother guarding. Then comes the scene that gives the episode its title. Frieren and Himmel stood in this exact spot once, on their way north during the original journey. Back then, Himmel said, "When the Demon King is gone, anyone will be able to see this." They were there for a side quest reward, the view was a bonus. Cut to the present, the same sight. And Frieren notes, quietly, almost to herself, how strange it is. People can see it now, and the first thing they want to do is put up barriers and restrict access to monetize the crystal deposits. It's the most human thing in the episode, and it lands somewhere between funny and sad. Progress doesn't protect beauty. Sometimes it just finds new ways to fence it off. But the show doesn't let that sit as cynicism. The adventurer who hired them steps in and says that seeing this sight was what made him want to become an adventurer. adventure in the first place. He wanted to protect his homeland, not because it's profitable, because it's his. And that unlocks something for Fern and Stark. Fern realizes that Hyther probably did the same for her, protected something she couldn't protect herself, so she could keep her memories of her family even after losing her home. Stark connects it to the encouragement Fern always gives him, the kind that kept him from running when he had every reason to. Then Stark asks Fern why she always does that, the encouraging, why she keeps pushing him, and Fern says because that's what Mrs. Frieren would do. That line is the thesis of the entire season dressed up as a throwaway answer. All of season 2, the phrase has been because it's what Himmel would have done. That's been Frieren's justification for every act of quiet heroism, every bad payment accepted, every detour taken for someone else's sake. Now it's mutated. Fern never met Himmel. She has no memory of him as a person, only the stories, the statues, the legends. What she has is Frieren, and Frieren, without noticing, without trying, has become the thing that Himmel was. The person whose behavior is worth emulating, the standard someone else holds themselves to. Himmel built the bridge, Frieren became the bridge. Before the credits, we get a montage of everyone the party helped this season. Snowfields, the villages, the Himmel statue from the very first episode, a quiet loop that closes the season without making a big deal of closing anything. Fern hid half the travel funds because she knew Frieren would spend it on something useless. Frieren finds out and praises her for it, which is, in its own way, the funniest and most touching moment of the episode. She's not annoyed, she's proud. That's family. And then the tone shifts. In post-credits, Denken, first-class mage, someone who we have seen operate with total composure all season, is heading into what everyone around him quietly acknowledges is a suicide mission. His destination is the Golden Land, his hometown, transformed into a city of literal gold by Mach, the last and strongest of the 7 Sages of Destruction, the final demon, the one that wasn't there to be defeated alongside the Demon King. Edel transfers the mission briefing directly into his memory. Denken doesn't flinch, and the detail that sticks with me, he isn't going there just to fight. He wants to visit a grave. That's the reason underneath the reason. Not duty, not glory, something personal and quiet and very human. In that way, Denken is the perfect bridge into season 3, because that's what this whole season has been about. People doing enormous things for reasons that are actually very small, very specific, someone they loved, a village that doesn't exist anymore, a view they want other people to be able to see. Shall we go? That's how season 2 ends. Not a goodbye, not a resolution, just the next step on a road that was never going to end neatly. Season 3 is confirmed for October 2027, which, depending on your perspective, is either a long wait or, in the other words of a certain dwarf, more than enough time for something to be built. Himmel's foundation is still holding, the bridge is still standing, the crystals are still catching the light at sunrise, and somewhere out there, a pancake is being flipped perfectly. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this season and through all the videos. I hope you've enjoyed this journey. I certainly did. This was one of my most favorite series to do, and you, the viewers, have played a big part in that, taking part in the discussion, in the comments, everybody sharing their opinions, their perspectives. I feel like there is always so much to take away from the episodes themselves that sometimes you get blindsided and you don't see everything. And that's where you really helped me see more than I initially saw in the episode, if that makes sense. So thank you once more, and well, hopefully we will see each other next year with another Frieren season. I'm really excited, so see you soon.